So I was sitting there minding my own business, listening to this podcast. This guy talking about how the boomers lied about being nice to women doesn't work, and you see quite a lot of this right online where people like to deconstruct stuff, right? To say, oh, this thing does not work. People lied to us, but I think there's a little bit more to it than that. Because even with the whole niceness story or nice guys finish last, it's actually a little bit more involved than people let it out to be. Because essentially what happens when you're trying to date someone, there's usually a point where you're trying to show them why they need to or why they should date you. And this can be stuff like, taking them out on dates, kind of showing them that you're competent, telling them about your job or your interesting hobbies and, all of this stuff, to kind of just like give them a peek into what being with you would look like. And niceness actually fits snugly into that equation where you're just trying to show them, okay, listen, maybe these other guys are, they're bad boys or they'll treat you badly, but I'll treat you nicely, right? That's essentially the idea. And right now, the reason why it doesn't work is because of optionality. Like when I grew up, you didn't have smartphones, you didn't have social media, you didn't have, Tinder, all of this stuff. And even back then, I can tell you now, women are cool and all of that, but they didn't have that many options. Maybe there would just be one guy willing to actually talk to her. And if there was maybe, let's say, that bad boy guy who didn't have the guts to talk to her, then it didn't necessarily matter. If you were able to actually show her that, hey, listen, I'm a nice guy, I'm an available option, life with me will be this and that, then she might end up dating you, right? Um, but with social media and all this stuff, what actually ended up happening is now there's a whole gaggle of guys on her phone, right? There's a whole bunch of people on her phone. So this is actually what has collapsed the idea of being nice, because now you're not, what you're competing on is being, let's say, average and then being nice at the same time. But if someone else has other forms of leverage, like looks, status, money, or whatever it is, right? Then that's when you actually lose out. That's when nice guys finish last actually kicks in, because being nice is the worst form of leverage. Because one thing to note about it as well is that it's very front loaded. So you meet a girl and you can't just say, hey, listen, I'll be nice once I start dating you. So just trust me, bro. But with money, it is a little bit more obvious, right? If you have a nice car, then the other person sees, oh, okay. If I date them, I get to ride in that nice car. I get to enjoy the status and the money or whatever it is. So it's kind of like a way to lure them in, right? That's how it kind of works psychologically. And I'm not saying any of this is bad or good. I'm just describing how it actually does work out. Because even with guys, you'll probably think the same thing. You'll be like, oh, she's cute. Blah, 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 blah. We'll have sex, right? That's kind of like the thing that comes up at the end of that equation in your head. And it's the same thing with when it comes to being nice, is that you're trying to create that idea of, hey, when we're together, I'll be nice to you because this is the type of person that I am. But yeah, again, it's a very weak form of leverage, and I think that's why that narrative has failed these days. It's not because the boomers necessarily lied. I think it's just because with with how options work these days, it's a strategy that's collapsed, because now you're competing with guys who have other forms of leverage, right? And this is actually why looks maxing does not work either, because what has happened is the bar has basically just been raised across the board. The average guy who used to look, flabby, he didn't go to the gym or whatever it is now going to the gym. So it's not the difference maker that it used to be. And especially again, if you can't take out this element of optionality, then yeah, there is no, you can't really win, right? Well, not necessarily that you can't win, but it does make it more difficult. And being nice can still work, actually. I wouldn't recommend this strategy like at all, but it can work. If you were to meet a woman who didn't have those options, doesn't have guys in her DM or does in her DMs, or doesn't have Tinder or whatever it is, then yeah, being nice can work. Would I recommend it? No, just because you'd still be in a position, right, where you'd have to heavily invest in, dates, attention, time, all of this stuff, and then you can still get got. If she just decides one day to download Tinder and sees all of these other options, then, and if you are just like an average guy, which there's nothing wrong with that, I'm an average guy myself, then yeah, you'll actually be boned. So I still wouldn't recommend that strategy, but it is a strategy that can work. But yeah, I just wanted to just kind of go over that, how the mechanics of all this stuff actually works. Because what you hear a lot on the internet is just, oh, you need to get jacked, you need to get this, being nice doesn't work. It does work. It's just a very contextual strategy. And something else of note here is the difference between the dating market and relationships. Because I often see women as well talk about, oh, nice guys don't finish last. They laugh about it and all of this stuff. And then when they're actually in relationships with guys who are not nice, they realize, oh, fuck, this actually sucks balls. Because yeah, treating people nicely is actually quite important within the context of relationship. You can't just ride on the bad boy aesthetic forever. Eventually you do need to talk to someone and then feel heard by them. It's kind of like, would you be friends with someone who's an asshole? Probably not. Um, so yeah, I know we all like to laugh and clown on it, but yeah, it is actually an aspect of how people try to show that they're a good option within the dating market. Because something else of note here as well is that it's not that niceness is unattractive. Because these guys who are top 20%, when they are nice, it's endearing, they're romantic or whatever it is, right? So again, it's not that niceness is bad or it has never worked. It did work. It's just that it's a strategy that is out of meta right now. But yeah, just wanted to get that out there. Thanks for watching.